Authorities say the body of 21-year-old Demartravion Trey Reed was found hanged from a tree by a faculty member near the pickleball
A
courts.
few weeks ago, we told you about Demartravion Trey Reed, the 21-year-old college freshman, was found hanging from a tree on campus. The case divided everyone. Police said suicide, the family said murder. The coroner found no broken bones. The family claimed his arms and legs were shattered. Officials saw no foul play. The family saw a cover-up. But now everything has changed. The official autopsy results are in from Mississippi's state medical examiner. And they're not what Trey's family was hoping to hear. The findings confirm what police said from day one. Trey Reed died by suicide. No evidence of assault, no signs of foul play. Case closed, according to the state. But Trey's family isn't giving up. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is now demanding access to video footage that authorities say shows the events leading up to Trey's death. And in a shocking development, NFL star Colin Kaepernick has stepped in to fund an independent autopsy. There's also something else the authorities didn't tell us before. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office are now reviewing every single file in this case. That doesn't happen for routine suicide. If you're ready for the latest developments in a case that's exposing the deep cracks in how we investigate suspicious deaths, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. Let's get into what's really happening with the Trey Reed case. Because while the state says this case is solved, the family's fight for truth is just getting started. New evidence is emerging, new questions are being asked, and new powerful allies are joining the battle for answers. The Cleveland Police Department released a statement that they hoped would end all the speculation and controversy surrounding Trey Reed's death. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office had completed their full autopsy of Trey's body. Their conclusion was clear and definitive. The cause of death was hanging and the manner of death was suicide. This wasn't just a preliminary examination like the one done by the local coroner. This was a complete autopsy performed by the state's top medical experts. They had examined every inch of Trey's body, looking for any sign that someone else might have been involved in his death. The results backed up everything that Police Chief Michael Peeler had said from the very beginning. No evidence of foul play, no signs of assault, no indication that Trey had been attacked or murdered before being found hanging from that tree. The state medical examiner's findings also confirmed what Bolivar County Coroner Randolph Seals Jr. had reported weeks earlier. Trey did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. This directly contradicted what family members had been claiming on social media. There were no broken arms, no broken legs, no extensive bruising that would indicate a violent attack. According to the state's medical experts, those injuries simply didn't exist. But the autopsy results came with an important caveat. The toxicology results weren't ready yet. Those tests, which would show what substances might have been in Trey's system when he died, were still being processed. The police department said those results were expected in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Toxicology results can be crucial in cases like this. They can show if someone was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. They can reveal if someone was poisoned. They can sometimes provide clues about a person's state of mind in their final hours. The fact that these results weren't available yet meant that technically the investigation wasn't completely closed. But based on everything else they had found, authorities seemed confident that the toxicology results wouldn't change their conclusion. There was another significant development buried in the police department's statement. All files relating to Trey's case had been provided to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for further review. This is not standard procedure for a routine suicide case. When local authorities are confident in their findings and see no evidence of federal crimes, they don't usually involve the FBI. The fact that federal agencies were now reviewing the case suggested that someone, somewhere, thought there might be more to this story. The FBI's involvement could mean several things. They might be looking for evidence of civil rights violations. They might be investigating whether Trey's death was connected to the racist harassment his father had described. Or they might simply be conducting a review to make sure the local investigation was thorough and complete. The U.S. Attorney's Office getting involved was also significant. Federal prosecutors don't typically review local suicide cases unless there's a reason to believe federal laws might have been broken. So while the autopsy results seemed to support the official narrative that Trey died by suicide, the federal involvement suggested that this case was far from over. Someone in the federal government apparently thought there were still questions that needed to be answered. The police department's statement was clearly meant to provide closure and end the speculation that had been swirling around Trey's death. But instead of closing the case, it seemed to raise new questions about why federal agencies were getting involved in what local authorities insisted was a straightforward suicide. For Trey's family, the official autopsy results were devastating, but they weren't ready to give up their fight for what they believed was the truth about their son's death. Ben Crump didn't waste any time responding to the official autopsy results. The famous civil rights attorney who has represented families in some of the most high-profile cases in recent years made it clear that his clients weren't accepting the state's findings. By demanding the family be allowed to view any video and commissioning an independent autopsy, we are taking every step to uncover the truth about what happened to Trey, Crump announced. The family's position was simple. They didn't trust the official investigation, and they weren't going to let the state's autopsy be the final word on how their son died. But conducting an independent autopsy costs money. A lot of money. Hiring qualified medical examiners, pathologists, and forensic experts can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Most families don't have that kind of resources to challenge official findings. That's when an unexpected ally stepped forward. Colin Kaepernick, the former NFL quarterback who became famous for kneeling during the national anthem to protest police brutality and racial injustice, announced that his Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy initiative would pay for a second independent autopsy of Trey's body. Kaepernick's involvement brought national attention to the case and provided the family with the resources they needed to get their own medical examination. His organization had been created specifically to help families like Trey's, who couldn't afford to challenge official findings in suspicious deaths. Crump explained why Kaepernick's support was so important. Trey's death evoked the collective memory of a community that has suffered a historic wound over many, many years and many, many deaths. Peace will come only by getting to the truth. We thank Colin Kaepernick for supporting this grieving family and the cause of justice and truth. The decision to fund an independent autopsy sent a powerful message. Kaepernick and his organization clearly believed there were enough questions about Trey's death to justify a second examination by different medical experts. Independent autopsies don't always contradict official findings. Sometimes they confirm what the state medical examiner found. But they can also reveal details that were missed or interpreted differently by the original examiners. The family was hoping that independent medical experts might find evidence that the state examiners had overlooked. Maybe they would discover injuries that hadn't been properly documented. Maybe they would find signs of a struggle that had been missed. Maybe they would uncover evidence that supported the family's belief that Trey had been murdered. Getting an independent autopsy also meant that the family would have their own medical experts who could testify if the case ever went to court. They would have professionals who could challenge the state's findings and present alternative theories about what had happened to Trey. The involvement of Kaepernick and the decision to conduct an independent autopsy showed that this case was becoming much bigger than a local investigation. National figures were getting involved, resources were being committed. The fight for answers was escalating. For Trey's family, the official autopsy results weren't the end of their search for truth. They were just the beginning of a new phase in their battle for justice. Just when everyone thought they knew all the facts about Trey Reed's death, authorities dropped a bombshell that changed everything. At a press conference held at Delta State University on Wednesday, police revealed something they had never mentioned before. There was video footage showing the events leading up to Trey's death. This wasn't just security camera footage from a distance. According to authorities, this video actually showed what happened on Sunday night and Monday morning, before Trey's body was discovered at 7:05 a.m. The existence of this video footage raised immediate questions. Why hadn't authorities mentioned it before? What exactly did the video show? And most importantly, why wasn't the family allowed to see it? Ben Crump immediately demanded that his clients be given access to all video footage related to Trey's death. As the family's attorney, he had the right to review evidence that might be relevant to understanding what happened to his client's son. But authorities weren't ready to release the footage. They said it was still part of an ongoing investigation and couldn't be shared with the family yet. This created another point of conflict between the official investigation and the family's search for answers. The timing of when this video was recorded could be crucial to understanding Trey's death. If the footage showed Trey alone on Sunday night or early Monday morning, it might support the suicide theory. But if it showed other people in the area, or if it captured anything that looked suspicious, it could completely change how people viewed this case. Video evidence can be incredibly powerful in cases like this. It can show a person's behavior and state of mind in their final hours. It can reveal whether someone was acting normally or seemed distressed. It can capture interactions with other people that might not have been reported to police. But video evidence can also be interpreted in different ways. What looks like normal behavior to one person might seem suspicious to another. What appears to be someone acting alone might actually show signs of coercion that aren't immediately obvious. The secrecy around the video footage also raised questions about what else authorities might know that they weren't sharing. Were there other pieces of evidence that hadn't been made public? Were there witness statements or physical evidence that might change how people understood this case? What do you think about this case now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe it supports the official suicide finding, or do you think there might be something on that footage that authorities don't want people to see? The existence of this video footage meant that there was potentially objective evidence of what happened to Trey Reed. Unlike witness statements or physical evidence that could be interpreted in different ways, video footage would show exactly what occurred in the hours before Trey's death. But until the family and the public were allowed to see that footage, it would remain another source of controversy and suspicion in a case that had already divided the community and attracted national attention. The fight over access to the video footage was becoming just as important as the fight over the autopsy results. As the autopsy results became public and new evidence emerged, the institutions and organizations involved in this case had to respond to a community that was still demanding answers. Delta State University President Dan Ennis released a video statement on Facebook that tried to address the ongoing concerns about student safety and the university's handling of the situation. What we want to communicate to the community is that we know that as a university we're given a trust, Ennis said in the video. People come here to learn, they come here to be safe, and they come here to thrive. And one of our students is gone, and we will never forget that. Ennis's statement acknowledged the weight of responsibility that the university carried. Parents send their children to college expecting them to be safe. Students choose universities based on their belief that they'll be protected while they pursue their education. When a student dies on campus, especially under controversial circumstances, it shakes that fundamental trust. The NAASEP, meanwhile, wasn't backing down from their original position despite the official autopsy results. In a post on Instagram, the organization maintained their skepticism about the suicide finding. While initial reports offered no evidence of foul play, you'd have to excuse our skepticism amid growing racially motivated violence targeted at our communities across this nation, the NAACP stated. The organization repeated their powerful historical argument. So, while we await more formal autopsy reports and information, we offer this piece of history with a level of certainty. Our people have not historically hung ourselves from trees. The institutions involved were trying to balance their need to move forward with their responsibility to address ongoing concerns about what had really happened to Trey Reed. So where does the Trey Reed case stand now that the official autopsy results are in? On the one hand, the Mississippi State Medical Examiner's findings seem to support what local authorities said from the beginning. The cause of death was hanging, the manner of death was suicide, and there's no evidence of assault or foul play. But on the other hand, several developments suggest this case is far from closed. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office reviewing all the files is significant. Federal agencies don't typically get involved in local suicide cases unless there's reason to believe federal laws might have been violated. This could mean they're investigating potential civil rights violations related to the racist harassment Trey's father described. The existence of video footage showing events leading up to Trey's death is another major development. This footage could provide crucial evidence about Trey's state of mind and whether anyone else was involved. The family's demand to see this video and authorities' reluctance to release it creates another point of controversy. The independent autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick's organization could potentially contradict the official findings. While independent autopsies don't always reach different conclusions, they sometimes reveal details that were missed or interpreted differently by the original examiners. The toxicology results, expected in the next 2 to 4 weeks, could also provide important information. These tests might reveal substances in Trey's system that could affect how his death is understood. The involvement of federal agencies also suggests there may be aspects of this case that haven't been made public yet. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office might be investigating angles that local authorities either missed or chose not to pursue. For now, the official cause of death is suicide. But the fight for what Trey's family believes is the truth about their son's death is continuing. What do you think really happened to Trey Reed? Was this a tragic suicide, or is there something more to this story? Drop your theories in the comments below and let me know what state you're watching from. Have you seen similar cases in your area where families challenged official findings? The search for answers in the Trey Reed case is far from over. With an independent autopsy coming, video footage still under wraps, and federal agencies now involved, this story is still being written. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on this case and other stories that demand justice. And remember Trey's family's message that has become a rallying cry for supporters across the country: what's done in the dark will come to light. The official autopsy may say suicide, but the fight for truth continues. And with powerful allies like Colin Kaepernick and Ben Crump supporting the family, this case is getting the attention and resources it needs to uncover what really happened to Demartravion Trey Reed. The next few weeks could bring major developments that change everything we think we know about this case. Stay tuned for all the latest updates.